first book in the Wallflower series is A Secrets of a Summer Night with Annabelle. The second book in the series, It Happened One Autumn, is with Lillian. The third book in the series, Devil in Winter, is with Evie. The fourth book is Scandal in Spring with Daisy, who happens to be Lillian's younger sister from the second book. And finally, to round out the Wallflower series, we have A Wallflower Christmas, where we see the protagonists of the first four books happily married and what kind of happens during the holiday season. The second series that we'll be reading is the Hathaway series, and the first one is Mine Till Midnight with Amelia. Second one, Seduce Me at Sunrise with Win. The third book, Tempt Me at Twilight with Poppy. The fourth book, Married by Morning with their brother Leo. Lastly, we have Love in the Afternoon with Beatrix. These are the books that represent the Hathaway series. Third series, the Ravenel series, starts with Cold Hearted Rake with Devon. The second book, Marrying Winterborn with Helen. The third book in the series, Devil in Spring with Pandora. The fourth book, Hello Stranger with Dr. Garrett Gibson. The fifth book, Devil's Daughter with West. The sixth and final book in the Ravenel series is Chasing Cassandra with, you guessed it, Cassandra. Fun little fact about Devil in Spring and Devil's Daughter. These two books are very much connected to Devil in Winter. And I will let you guys figure out how those three books are connected. Comment down below. But let's see. Secrets of a Summer Night by Lisa Klyepas. Four young ladies enter London society with one common goal. They must use their feminine wit and wills to find a husband, so a daring husband-hunting scheme is born. Annabelle Payton, determined to save her family from disaster, decides to use her beauty and wit to tempt a suitable nobleman into making an offer of marriage. But Annabelle's most intriguing and persistent admirer, wealthy, powerful Simon Hunt, has made it clear that while he will introduce her to irresistible pleasure, he will not offer marriage. Annabelle is determined to resist his unthinkable proposition. But is it impossible in the face of such a skillful seduction? Her friends, looking to help, conspire to entice a more suitable gentleman to offer for Annabelle, for only then will she be safe from Simon and her own longings. But one summer night, Annabelle succumbs to Simon's passionate embrace and tempting kisses, and she discovers that love is the most dangerous game of all. Prologue, London, 1841. We are introduced to Annabelle Payton and her younger brother Jeremy, who is home for a school break, and they're gonna go see a panorama show. However, the prices for the show have gone up, and Annabelle doesn't have enough money. The two argue back and forth of who's gonna go in to see this show by themselves, and Annabelle says, Jeremy, you're home for a break, you go. It's fine, I can go shopping. Like, I can go window shopping. This is when we are introduced to Simon Hunt, and he is the son of a butcher, but has made his own name as an entrepreneur and has become really, really rich. Then Jeremy ends up telling what's happening. Annabelle does not want to take any money from Simon in regards to buying the ticket, but Jeremy folds and they end up seeing the show. At one point during the show, all the lights are out, and this is when Simon steals a kiss from Annabelle. Simon leaves before the lights are fully back on, and in chapter 1, we see a 2-year time jump from the prologue. It is now London, 1843. It's the end of the London season, and we are introduced to the other 3 Wallflowers and what's going to happen with the 4 of them all together. We are introduced to Evangeline Jenner. She wants to be called Evie, though, and then also the Bowman sisters, Lillian and Daisy, who are dollar princesses. I'll make a video about that as well. They have a conversation going about, and during this conversation, they turn it back to Annabelle, asking what are her qualities in her future husband, and she's not picky because she's almost 25 and she has no dowry. We are also reintroduced to Simon Hunt, who asks Annabelle for a dance. Annabelle says no, and they kind of have a conversation, and Simon says, listen, there's going to be a point where you can't say no. After that conversation, the Wallflowers come up with a scheme to help each other find a husband. And I briefly mentioned that Lillian and Daisy Bowman are considered dollar princesses, and this is where that term comes from. Dollar princesses essentially were of American heiresses of the Nauvoo rich circle who were shunned by the old school blue-blooded rich Americans. They would essentially go to England, find those in the peerage who had titles but not a lot of money, and they would need to use the heiresses' money to like continue with their lifestyle and so on and so forth. If you've ever watched Downton Abbey, Cora would be considered a dollar princess, but in real life, Winston Churchill's mother was a dollar princess. I know that there are other ones. I think Vanderbilt was one. I can't think of like the other names off the top of my head, but if you do a quick Google search, you will be able to see who would have been considered dollar princesses at that time. So the other three Wallflowers, Lillian, Daisy, and Evie, their descriptions of who they want to marry are as followed. Lillian wants to marry a dark-haired and handsome man, someone who is a wonderful dancer and will not ask permission to kiss. Daisy wants a man who has read all of William Shakespeare, who is quiet and romantic, wears glasses, and loves poetry and nature. Evie just wants somebody to love her. She is very shy, she has a stutter, and she just wants somebody to love her for who she really is. And once we get to each of their books, it's very eerie to see their future husbands fit to a T with the descriptions of who they want to marry. Oddly enough, we get to meet 2 out of the 3 future husbands of these Wallflowers, either in this book or in Lillian's book. In chapter 2, we get an understanding of how Simon went from the son of a butcher to the rich entrepreneur that he is today. Well, in the book. So, at the age of 21, to the utter dismay of his family, he left the family business of being a butcher. He wanted nothing to do with that. He has a ruthless soul, so if he wants something, he's gonna go after it. Whatever money he had, he invested, and at this time, a few years have gone by, and he's now in his early 30s, more or less 33. And there was a railroad speculation that he invested all of his money in, and he ended up getting rich with that. Simon has a huge crush on Annabelle, and he's waiting his time. He knows that she doesn't have a lot of money and is happy that she's not married because he wants her to be his mistress. In chapter 3, we kind of start to see the dire situation that the Peyton family is in. When Annabelle returns from the ball, she notices a gentleman's hat and cane in the foyer. And when she goes up to the second floor, which is where the family lives, she's met by Lord Hodgem. Now, Lord Hodgem is having an affair with her mom to pay off some of their debts. And I didn't say this in the previous video, but at the end of the previous chapter, Simon is made aware of a rumor that is going around that a gentleman's carriage has been seen behind the Peytons' home at night. Everybody thinks it's Annabelle who's having the affair and has become a mistress to some gentleman, but in fact it's her mom and not Annabelle. This rumor plus what's happening is kind of leads to what's going to happen in the future chapters between Simon and in chapter 4, we see Annabelle receive a few chunks of clothing from the Bowman sisters, and at the end of the note that has accompanied the trunks, it is signed, "Your Fairy Godmothers." This leads to a moment in the chapter where we see the correspondences between the Bowman sisters and Annabelle, and then Annabelle and Evie, and so on and so forth, as they're getting ready for their trip to Hampshire. While Annabelle is going through the trunks to see what she's received from the Bowman sisters, her mom knocks on the door. Her mom, Philippa, asks a very important question, if the trunks are actually from Simon Hunt and not the Bowman sisters. She tells her mom that they are in fact from the Bowman sisters and not from Simon Hunt, and she's like, why do you think they're from Mr. Hunt? Her mom pretty much says, well, you've talked about him all season, so 1 and 1 equals 2. Is there something I should know? And she's like, I'm not his mistress. I am nobody's mistress. In chapter 5, we see Annabelle and her mom arrive at Stony Cross Park. This is the home of the Earl of Westcliff for a 3-week party in Hampshire. Annabelle was invited by Lady Olivia, the Earl's younger sister, and this is who they are greeted by. Lady Olivia brings Annabelle and her mom to the room where they're going to be staying for the next 3 weeks, and while being shown, they make some conversation, and it ends up being about her brother, the Earl of Westcliff. During the passing of their conversation, it is mentioned that only a strong-willed woman will be able to conquer the Earl, and Annabelle says, "Oh, I know somebody strong-willed," aka referencing Lillian. Hint, hint. But once shown to their rooms by a maid, because Lady Olivia sees her fiance, Annabelle decides to go for a walk, and she ends up meeting Simon, and they end up having a conversation, and she goes. In chapter 6, we see the 4 Wallflowers meet up together prior to dinner at Stony Cross Park, and they come up with a plan for Annabelle to capture Lord Kendall. Is it a fair plan? No! Will it succeed? Who knows? While Annabelle and the rest are talking, she feels somebody's gaze on the back of her neck. It is Simon Hunt. He's looking at her while he's talking to a few other gentlemen, and she turns away really fast to focus on the other 3 girls. Something to note about the dinner, as Annabelle notices that Simon Hunt is sitting close to where Lord Westcliff is located. Seeing arrangements for any major event for the nobility or like the town and everything is important, and it kind of shows his status to the Earl of Westcliff. Annabelle is made aware that Lord Kendall is by himself on the patio, and she talks to him, and they end up having a plan to go for a walk the next morning. In chapter 7, we see the rest of the Wallflowers waiting for Annabelle to come back to spill the tea of what's going to be happening with her and Lord Kendall the next morning. When Annabelle arrives, she says the following. "You were right about him being spooked easily," Annabelle said. "I am certain that Kendall would not be attracted to a strong-willed woman. He's cautious and soft-spoken. I'm trying to be demure, although I should probably feel guilty for the deception." And Lillian replies, "All women do that during courtship, and men too for that matter. We try to conceal our defects and say the things we think the other one wants to hear. We pretend that we're always lovely and sweet-tempered and that we don't mind the other's nasty little habits. And then after the wedding, we lower the boom." While waiting for her mom, Annabelle has a run-in with Lord Hodgem, and they have a very heated exchange in which Simon Hunt sees. After Lord Hodgem leaves Annabelle, Simon Hunt appears and asks what's going on. This leads to Annabelle and Simon having an argument. In chapter 8, Annabelle's not the only young unmarried woman joining Lord Kendall on his walk. Annabelle makes a comment that some of the women might be feral and she doesn't want to get bitten after her mom tells her to go into the circle where Lord Kendall is located, and she hears laughter from behind her. It's none other than Simon Hunt. Annabelle makes a comment that Lord Kendall and Lord Westcliff are not the only eligible bachelors here at Stony Cross Park, to which Simon replies, "I am neither a peer and I would be a devil of a husband." This is when Lord Kendall notices that Annabelle is on the terrace as well and kind of makes his way over to her, but he kind of gets re-swarmed by the young ladies. Simon decides to join them on their walk. That should be fun. Simon also mentions about the rumor. In chapter 9, we see the 4 Wallflowers on their way to a clearing to play a game of rounders in their underwear. Annabelle is not 100% sure about this. Evie says, "What's the problem? Nothing's gonna happen. What's the harm in doing this game in our underwear?" Servant ends up telling Lillian where the perfect place to go to play the game, and as they pass a well, they make a quick wish, and then they're on their way back to the clearing. Once at the clearing, they have a quick picnic because Annabelle complains that she can't play the game on an empty stomach. After they have their picnic, they get down to their undergarments, and Annabelle's up first, and then it's Evie. Through all the excitement of Annabelle and Evie playing the game for the first time, they draw the attention of 2 riders. The 4 of them turn to get dressed really fast, but Annabelle is seen by Lord Westcliff and in chapter 10, we have Simon asking Annabelle what she's doing in her underwear. Daisy's off to the side, angrily telling Lillian, "I thought you said nobody came here." Westcliff replies, nobody typically does. And Lillian says, then what are you doing here? Westcliff pretty much is like, yo, this is my estate. I'm checking my estate right now, and we heard you screaming like banshees, and we decided to be the gentleman and come check it out. Westcliff says that we're gonna get amnesia in the next 5 minutes, and we're gonna forget that we ever saw all of you in your underwear. And then they leave. Evie is on the floor rolling around, losing her mind, laughing hysterically, to which Daisy turns to Annabelle and says, this is what conniptions look like. We get the point of view of Lord Westcliff and Simon, and here we find out Westcliff's first name is Marcus. Westcliff also tells Simon that he needs to forget about Annabelle and not to get any attachment to her. Chapter 11, Annabelle starts to notice that her ankle is hurting, and she doesn't know if it's because of the game or something else. She walks in step with Lillian, and they start talking about whether or not the two men are going to keep quiet. Lillian says Lord Westcliff will 100% keep quiet, but Simon's going to be the issue, and that Annabelle is going to be the one that needs to ask him to be quiet. It's later in the evening, dinner has been served, and everybody's getting ready to go into the ballroom, and this is when Annabelle and Simon talk. The two have a conversation, and they both agree about the kiss, but they have to agree upon the when and the where of when the kiss is going to happen. After Annabelle is done talking with Simon, Lillian and Daisy come over to see what's going on, and this is when they notice that she isn't feeling good. Once Lillian and Daisy get Annabelle outside, she gets sick in a potted plant and is given a handkerchief by none other than Simon. In chapter 12, we see Simon take complete control of the situation regarding Annabelle. He tells Lillian to go get Annabelle's mom and to notify Westcliff that their doctor needs to be called. This is also when Simon realizes that Annabelle's very cold and tells her to hold on to him while he shrugs his coat off and wraps her in it. Annabelle is being carried by Simon back up to her room. However, they have to take the service entrance, and Daisy's leading the way. While Simon is carrying Annabelle, they're having a quiet conversation between the two of them, but Daisy says, I've never seen injured ankle cause an upset stomach like this. Simon has an idea of what's going on with Annabelle, but he won't know until they get up to her room and he removes her stocking to see what it is. Once, however, he removes the stocking, he sees 2 puncture marks and tells Daisy that she needs to call the servant to get Klyepas tea because Annabelle was bitten by an adder. Annabelle's corset also needs to get taken off, but Daisy won't let Simon do it, and